Alright, a few quick things before we get started. I did use the YouTube editor on the last episode. I thought it was just going to be in, like, 240p. I really thought that the YouTube editor had just ruined the quality, but it just turns out that the higher quality took longer to process. So it is in 720p. I'm a little happy about that, so anybody who didn't watch it after the first day probably got to see it a lot higher quality than I did. The other thing is I now have a proper video editor thanks to one of my friends. I'll probably put a link to his channel in the description, even though he doesn't really upload anymore. He still has a channel, so, I mean, as thanks, why not? But that means that I can do intros like this, for example, and the next transitions will be a lot more smooth. So, one last thing. That also means I'll be able to make a channel trailer once I get all the footage together. Trouble is that that's going to require me to play a little bit more of these games, so here goes. Hello Internet, my name is Max7238 and welcome back to the bottom of the Tower of Purgatory. I don't have much to say about that last fight. Honestly, I didn't even remember, or I don't even think that I knew that fist types, like, you know, being barehanded actually did true damage, like a percentage of health, because that's what it appeared to do. I shot that guy like crazy, and his health just wasn't going anywhere, and I know it's because of his shield, and I know I wasn't doing enough damage, but I really didn't feel like farming anymore. So I didn't. I just kind of resolved myself to go after him, and I ended up succeeding. We're going to be going back up through the tower, and a few things are going to change. First of all, this guy's using a pistol and doing quite a bit of damage to me. The enemies have gotten much tougher. The items that they drop have gotten much better. Like, that is the most advanced form of the pistol, I can recognize that. Shadow Ray. I do want to talk a little bit about Rengoku 2 because we are getting a lot closer to it. I'm still kind of debating as to what type of playthrough to do for Rengoku 2. I don't really want to continue as a bullet type, partially because I feel like after doing Rengoku 1 entirely as a bullet type character, that might get a little annoying. Both to watch and it might be... I mean, I don't mind that it's monotonous to play, but I think to some people that would be monotonous. And like I've said previously, I don't mind monotony in games. I don't mind doing the same thing over and over again as long as there's some kind of choice involved, some kind of variation. But that being said, I'm most definitely going to be doing a melee type playthrough for Rengoku 2. It has a much better melee system than this game does, so I feel like if I'm going to show that game off properly, then I should show its best sides, and that just happens to be its melee combat. On top of the fact that there are some avenues to take later in the game in Rengoku 2 that will allow me to basically use any kind of projectile I want and still be effective. But we'll get to that when we get to that. That's very, very late into the game, and Rengoku 2 is much bigger than Rengoku 1. I do want to spoil a little bit and say that when we beat Rengoku 1, you're going to be seeing these floors again. These textures again, anyway, in Rengoku 2's Heaven. Heaven A, Heaven B, and Heaven C all reuse the textures and the audio, like the music files, from Rengoku 1. Albeit with a lot more challenge. That's probably the Shadow Ray right there. I don't think we've reached the 7 Death's Blade yet. 7 Death's Blade, as you could probably imagine, is a melee weapon in this game that can combo 7 times, all in rapid succession. That is about the pinnacle of melee that you're going to get in this game, is one weapon swinging a bunch of times. In Rengoku 2, that changes. Even barehanded, your combat changes. You get melee combos and that sort of thing, and it really fleshes it out, and it really makes it a lot more interesting to use a melee weapon. They do rework the gunplay as well, so I don't want to say that, like, you know, gunplay stagnates in Rengoku 2. It certainly doesn't. They rework several of the weapons to make more sense with the different mechanics that they're using. I think it's great. I mean, obviously I do, or I wouldn't be playing these games and recording them. But, I don't know. I feel like they both have their merits. Both Rengoku 1 and Rengoku 2 do have their own neat little things that they do. I definitely feel, and I've said this before, and I will probably continue to say this because it's true, that Rengoku 2's story is a big step down from Rengoku 1. You don't need all kinds of complexity in a game to have a good story. You don't need to have tons and tons of backstory, tons and tons of lore. It doesn't need to be that detailed of a world per se in order to have a good story. I think that's one of the problems with Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1, for example. Dark Souls 1 has a crap ton of lore, and then the story is, you know, reignite the flame or don't. That's it. Like, the story of the game is very simple. The lore to the game is not. And I just, like, realize that these guys actually have the opportunity to kill me because they're technically a lot stronger than I am. They have much more advanced weapons than I do. I'm coming off of a, you know, first experience level of power. Like, actually, now that we've cleared the floor here, let's go in here, and I can actually show you guys through the damage values on these weapons just how much more powerful it's possible to get. Okay, so this is my go-to gun. This is the 15-7. This is my heavy machine gun. 100 attack. Okay, my Gatling cannon. That's another example. 90 attack. My the lighter machine gun, the 7.62, 90, right? This one pistol, 264. Okay? This is the power difference that we're dealing with. So I'm going to be downgrading, quote-unquote downgrading, my weapons for now, switching over to these new weapon types, because I'm going to be doing a lot more damage that way. This thing, I don't know, we'll give this a try. Just because I would like to see if I can do any kind of decent damage with it as an alternative. Alright, so we'll have rifles on one arm and pistols on the other. The jammer head I don't need to replace. I just need to remember that I actually have it and use it. Clock down prototype. Oh yeah, I did want to show off some of this stuff. Like the, here, let's do that real quick. Let me throw on the quantum cannon. We'll show this off real quick. This is a chest-only weapon. Here, check this thing out. See that ready time? And it's actually a two-stage attack if I remember correctly. The first hit, and then the second little explosion there. Very, very powerful weapon. Again, not really something that I would recommend. It's really good for novelty, and it's got 780 attack, and that's the base form of it. That's not even Invader Q. So it's pretty insane. This is the strongest weapon of the final boss here, the Rail Cannon D. Again, a lot of ready time, a lot of downtime, but very powerful. Also another quantum-type weapon. Split damage, mostly electronic. I've already shown off the M-Con. I can get rid of these now that I've shown them to you guys. Alright, the clock down prototype. Now that is something I'm definitely going to want to show off. If you'll recognize, that's actually the main character's legging. It doesn't look anything like, at least I don't think it does, it doesn't look anything like what the final boss had on his legs. But it is most certainly the model for what the main character used to look like. think that's about it. I'm gonna throw a sort on. Oh, does it edit the way that I dodge? It does. Or no, I'm thinking of it. Never mind. Still thinking of Rengoku 2, sorry, I'm still stuck in that mode. Alright, here we go. See if I can show off the clock down system on an actual boss. Any illusions that you might have had that this was going to be the same thing over again, with the bosses and everything, and like that was the end of the story, yeah, those ought to be dispelled now. Okay, if you're just gonna spam your pistol there, then I'm just gonna... Yeah, not in the mood. And he was doing all that with just a pistol. That's how far behind all of my stuff is. Right, I forgot to show off the clock down system, because he just went down so quickly. Whoops! Alright, I'll keep it on and I'll show it off here in a second. It did hit me at the end of the boss fight, but I don't feel like that's enough, so here we go. Just gonna dodge around like crazy, wait for the legs to overheat, and BAM! Look at that. Alright, still overheated. Duh! Over here trying to dodge. Okay, this guy's actually... one thing that I think just happened, I don't know if it was part of the clock down system we're about to see, but you can actually run into enemies from the first run in the second run of the tower. Yeah, okay, so that definitely was an enemy from the first run of the tower, because he went down in like 2 shots. Yeah, look at that. That's insane. And yeah, he just dropped an alpha repair system and the basic submachine gun. So that's the clock down system. Useful, not really my thing. Let's see. I don't think I can get rid of anything else. I know that I have a ton of elixir skin up there. I know I haven't used it yet. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I'm just a lot more concerned right now with cleaning out my inventory. I just wanted to show some stuff off, make a couple of points. Oops. Alright, I do believe everything is in order. I'm going to hang on to the clock down system, just in case I do run into a boss in this second run that, like, completely destroys me, even with the jammer head. I do want to keep that on as sort of a failsafe, because I've realized, as I've played the game, that I don't really use that large of a variety of weapons. Those are going to have to wait. Let's catch that up. Alright, we've officially reached the maximum leg slots. Yeah, it is maximum of 5, you could probably tell that just by the graphic here. Time out a second. Alright, floor 2. And yeah, I am going to actually continue because that's how quickly these floors can go by right now. Might as well make as much progress in one episode as possible. Oh, there. Chainsaw. Notice how much heat this pistol is generating. Like, I didn't overheat or anything, but still. for a pistol, that's a lot of heat. It's also a testament to just how many enemies I've killed with a bullet that my bullet still isn't going up that quickly. Again, that's one of the mechanics of this game that I really like, is that they can regulate your power based on the kind of experience, quote-unquote, that you gain from killing enemies. Okay, I get it. You have a submachine gun. I'm trying to kill you with this thing so I see what kind of damage it does. Looks like it's mostly impact. Yep, mostly impact. Okay, I'm gonna have to find a different chest weapon because that's not gonna help me. Way to overcompensate, genius. See, now that's the thing. We've run into enemies, obviously, that have had this jammer head, just like me. It's where I got it. So why is it that when I ran into enemies that had a jammer head, it never affected me? Although that said, it is an active, so they might have just not used it and I just don't remember. But the fact of the matter is that in this game, we don't see a whole lot of enemies using countermeasures, or at least not using them properly. In Rengoku 2, again, that's not the case. We're also running into a lot more enemies per room now on the second run, I just noticed. Of course, their equipment's going to be worth more elixir skin when I actually break it down now as well. Whew! The elephant. Ow. Ow. I think what I'm going to do is, in the next episode here coming up, I'm going to go more in depth with the whole AI conversation. Because I'll be perfectly honest, the last time I talked about it really wasn't a whole lot in depth. It was just presenting all the different arguments. I didn't really talk a whole lot about details. And so I'd like to go into details, and I'm probably going to end up using a few references to the only fan fiction that I ever wrote for this, just because I realized that nobody had written one, so I kind of threw something together. Looking back on it, it was not very well written or anything, but, you know, again, I've been practicing for years, so I should probably revisit it someday. But anyway, yeah, I'll bring up that whole AI conversation again, because there's still a lot more that can be said about it. And now that I've gotten a lot further into the game, I can bring up a lot more points about the game, because before I was trying to avoid spoilers, so now I can use the first half of the game to expand on the argument. And I'll be able to do that even more when we start Rengoku 2 and I've been through Rengoku 1, because I'm going to play Rengoku 1, and I'm going to say at the very start of the playthrough that I'm going to assume that you have either played Rengoku 1 or watched my playthrough of it. So spoilers for Rengoku 1 are going to be all over the place in Rengoku 2. That was a double-barrel shotgun. And still, they're only dropping me things like tactical bazookas and that sort. Your chainsaw would be very effective if you were actually in range. Alright, yeah, I'm not gonna fight you. Alright, so real quick, we did run into this at last. This is the gyro balancer. Sort of like the thing that went on your head before, but just a a little bit better. And there are multiple versions of it actually in Rengoku 2. Alright, so that's that. I don't believe I need another of these. Slay Spear. Yep, this is the little pile driver thing. Basically a really, really heavy punch. Doesn't look like I have anything else for my chest right now, and I haven't run into any armor. So I guess I'll keep the... I can't really use anything else, because the only thing that does enough damage to warrant being with me is this linear mortar gun. And it looks a little ridiculous on my chest. Oh, I suppose I could use... Yeah, I'll put the shields on. How's that? That looks a little weird with the jammer head, but I'm pretty sure that's my best form of armor right now, so yeah, let's go with that. This is how we'll do for now. You all remember this guy. Our silent and stoic opponent. I mean, he's got an acceleration system. I suppose maybe if you were player against player, that might be helpful. Only thing the guy ever says. Alright, and there's our most advanced form of the rifle. I do believe he's the only person to drop that, although I'm probably going to be proven wrong in the next floor. Alright, I'm going to cut it off here. I actually went 6 minutes over to finish that floor in that episode. But I will pick this up in the next part. Thanks everybody for watching. See you next time.